Hi there, my name is Aaliyah Terry and I am 22 years old. So today I'm going to tell you guys about my story with COVID-19. So it started on March 16th is when I started to be considered symptomatic. I had just gotten off of work and I was driving home to Tracy from Fresno, and when I got to Merced, I started having like a burning pain in my throat, and I was drinking water, trying to ease my throat, and nothing was working, and I started coughing a lot, but I didn't think anything of it. So when I got to Tracy, I started sneezing a lot. I was coughing more, and I decided to take my temperature, and I wound up having a low-grade fever. So I wound up going to bed early. I had some soup, took some Tylenol, and the next morning I still woke up not feeling 100%, so I didn't want to go into work. So I wound up staying another night in Tracy. And then I took my temperature multiple times that day, and I still had a low-grade fever. So Wednesday morning comes around and I take my temperature, and it went back to normal, and I felt better, so I decided to go back to work. By the time I get to Fresno, I'm feeling 100% better, and I'm working my normal shift. And within the last 2 to 3 hours before my shift ended, I started to feel very nauseous. I had a really bad headache, and I just wasn't feeling great, and so I decided to go to the doctor. I had my boyfriend take me to the doctor, to urgent care here in Fresno, and at first the people in the doctor's office were hesitant on testing me for the coronavirus because I wasn't showing enough symptoms. But eventually I did get seen, and the first thing that I got tested for was strep throat. And the doctor came in and explained that if my strep throat results came back negative, that I would, that I can, decide to test for the coronavirus. And in my head, I figured I was already there, so I might as well just go ahead and get tested, just to get it out the way. The doctor that I saw did not think that I had the coronavirus. He just thought it was like a really bad cold or really bad flu, because I had a sore throat, I was coughing. I didn't have a fever at the time when I went to the doctor. My nose was stuffed and running, and then that was it. So I got tested on March 18th, and I basically stayed home until April. I went back to work April 16th. So I wound up testing positive for the coronavirus on March 29th. That's when I got my test results back. And in the meantime of me waiting for my results, I had lost my sense of smell and taste. I lost that for about 3 weeks, and to me, I thought that was weird. I didn't know if it was something that I should be worried about, just because normally when someone has a cold or the flu and your nose is plugged, you normally don't have a sense of smell or taste. But once I was able to breathe through my nose, I still noticed that I wasn't able to taste or smell. That's when I decided to call the doctor or the doctor's office and, get an update on my results. And for some reason there was a delay. So that was my experience or my story with the coronavirus. Everything, I was still symptomatic, the whole time. My last week before I went back to work, I didn't show any symptoms, which was good because I was working with the Fresno County Public Health Department, and they were checking in on me every week, just making sure, just asking if I had any symptoms, if, I still had any fevers, if my throat was still hurting, just, going through procedures. I know a couple of days prior to me getting the clearance letter from them, I was having fevers, and my throat was still sore. I had gained my sense of smell and taste back, but I was still, showing some symptoms of a sore throat. So it was just better to not go back to work until I was completely healed. So before the coronavirus, I didn't really have too many opinions about it. In my head, I thought that, if I get it, I get it. But that was prior to face masks being mandatory to wear out in public. I was still going about my, daily life, going to work. If I needed to go to the store, I would go to the store. And I was still, hanging out with friends and, just doing things, just acting as if everything was normal. Obviously, when I got sick, that is when California basically went on a shelter in place. So I stopped doing those things. I wore a mask, I had gloves, I stayed in my room. I had one of my roommates stay with me the whole time, but we were still practicing social distancing. The rare times I would come out of my room was, to cook or to use the bathroom. But most of the time I did stay in my room. So, it was all still so new, and we just didn't know what it was and what the symptoms, all the symptoms were, how it was gonna feel, how was it gonna, just how everything was going to be played out. Afterwards, after actually being sick with the coronavirus, my mentality has changed. I am very careful around people when I go out in public. I do wear a mask, I have gloves, I carry hand sanitizers in my purse, in my car, at work. Everyone at work, they knew that I had tested positive for it, so they were just as hesitant to be around me as I was them, just in fear of, some part of the virus still being inside, or me still having part of the virus, so I didn't want to pass it on to anyone. But now just going through that experience, I am grateful that I did not have it as bad as other people have had it in all over the world. I was lucky I didn't have any respiratory issues, because I know that is something that was one of the big issues. And thankfully, everyone that I had been around prior to me being sick and my roommates, no one has tested positive, no one has shown symptoms. So it is a little strange how I actually got the virus, and how I had it and how it affected me versus other people who, have had it and didn't know they had it and passed it on to a whole bunch of other people, and, it kept spreading. So that was, different. My advice, just moving forward, for anyone that is not taking it serious, I would just say to just stay at home, wear a mask, just keep washing your hands for 20 seconds or more, wear gloves if you have any gloves, because people are dying from this virus, and it is serious because new things are popping up every single day, and it's not worth risking not only your lives but the lives of a whole bunch of other people by not practicing social distancing and staying at home. I know you know, a lot of people have the mindset of, well, since it's not happened to me yet, I don't have to worry about it. But for someone that had that kind of mindset, just actually having it happen to me, everything changed. So I was lucky, but not everyone else who had it was lucky. So definitely take this serious, do what you can, do your part, you know, stay home, be safe, and definitely pay attention to the symptoms in the news, because the smallest thing that you can think is regular allergies or flu or cold could actually turn out to be the virus.